Woman is shocked when she sees this young girl in her daughter's dance class. Mothers always find a reason to admire their children being themselves. Likewise, this mother has been watching her daughter rehearse or dance when suddenly the young girl walked to the mother with an expression she hadn't seen in years. Though the ambiance filled with noise and laughter, a certain incident spooked the mother, who didn't have the courage and strength to pinch herself to reality. Gina Kratz, a happy mother like other women, felt blessed when her children completed her life. Perhaps motherhood is the best thing that could happen to any woman, and Gina fell under the same category. But that day, while she was busy watching her daughter Evie practice her ballet, she noticed something strange on her teen daughter's face. Evie's expressions weren't anything that Gina had read in years, but when she turned to what her daughter pointed, a writer who loves to pen her heart with words, Gina hails from Saratoga Springs, Utah. A proud mom of 3, 2 boys and a girl, Gina knew that her life concluded with the joy in her children's eyes. They meant the world to her. However, the 38-year-old mom couldn't figure out how to come out from her past that shadowed her through the ages. She knew that the decision she took years ago wasn't anything ordinary, and the very thought of it fogged her with broken and dark memories. The story flashes back to ballet class and that day. Gina couldn't put a finger to Evie's strange expressions. She asked her daughter what the matter was, and that's when Evie pointed at the floor-length window behind them. A girl was staring there, throwing her eyes at the mother-daughter duo. At first, Gina couldn't believe what she was seeing. But soon, her lost emotions pictured back into her memories and stood right before her eyes. Having married Brandon, Gina couldn't have asked for better than a happily married life, and of course her 3 children. Life was at its best, yet there was something that occupied the mom, giving her a glimpse of her bitter past. Till now, Gina never knew whether what she did back then was right or wrong. She wasn't left with a choice. However, Gina was now ready to face it, and the bitter truth took shape through a girl. Her name was Kaylin. This was a tough decision Gina had to take almost 18 years ago. There was nothing she could do than live with the harsh reality through the years that followed. She knew that she was hitting hard at the wrong thing, yet Gina was forced to give up on her happiness to pave the way for a better life. You know, sometimes pushing down the guilt and keeping the scale of regrets to 0 is quite hard. Gina now knew that she couldn't silence her dark past forever. It happened before 2 decades when Gina was just 19. She couldn't have imagined what went through her when she saw the double lines on the pregnancy test kit. Perhaps this would have been a tough situation to put up with after facing the bitter truth in her hands. Despite praying her heart out for a negative result, the kit showed nothing but positive. The ugly truth flashed the teenager's mind, and it was the moment she realized what her future would be like. She had no choice but to leave her past behind her. And that's when she came up with the most significant decision of her life. Though courage sprung from all corners, Gina knew she had to do it. It was such a strange thing to happen to her, yet she braved herself against all the odds and the harsh side of her reality. "I'm fine. I'll be okay. I can do this," were the mantras Gina repeated in her helpless mind back then. She decided to carry her pregnancy but put the baby for adoption as soon as she arrived. It was an emotional struggle apart from the physical reality of a little innocent life growing inside Gina each day for the next 9 months. She wasn't sure whether she'd made the right call. After spending a night with her mother, Gina, and her grandparents, the baby girl was placed for adoption the next day. Gina penned a poem, "My Little Butterfly," for her baby girl. It cast light on her broken emotions and the biggest sacrifice she made. The little girl was later adopted by a loving couple, which made Gina feel confident about her decision. Having moved on in her life, Gina then met Brandon and started a new life with him. But she never expected to stumble upon her past once again. Her eyes were filled with tears while Gina broke out from her memories. She stood there, silent and motionless, looking at the girl who did the same from the window. It was Kaylin, the baby girl Gina had given for adoption years back. She was now all grown and ready to embrace harsh realities that led her mother to put up with the bitter decision. But the strangest part was, Eva was able to recognize each bit of this situation, including her elder sister. How was this even possible? Evie was 13 when all this happened on that day at ballet class. When Gina locked eyes with Kaylin, the two recognized each other without having to speak or share anything other than their intense gaze. Gina saw Kaylin some 17 years ago when she was just a day old. At first, Gina was confused. She didn't want to talk to Kaylin to see her walking away without a word. After a few minutes of gathering all the courage she could, Gina took a deep breath and headed outside. She hoped that Kaylin didn't disappear from the spot. It was not a day or two, it was 17 long years since this mother faced her daughter. "Are you happy?" was the first set of a few words Gina threw at young Kaylin. "Yes," came the reply from the happy daughter. And the two hugged immediately after the brief conversation. The air gushed with laughter, warmth, and smiles, something Gina had missed for 17 years, ever since she handed over Kaylin to her adoptive parents. Amidst all this, there's this question of how Evie was able to recognize Kaylin. The truth was, the adoptive parents would send Gina letters and Kaylin's photographs to keep her updated about her daughter. Moreover, Gina stuck to her point that her 3 children needed to know that they have an elder sister. As a matter of fact, Evie had Kaylin's photograph in her room. Perhaps Gina decided on the right thing about not having the matter of her first daughter a secret.